Hello, hello. Welcome to Tea with Honey. I am your host, Raven Honey. Joining me today is my super awesome cousin who's been here before. She's back again. We're excited to have her. Nick, what's up?
Hello, thank you for having me again.
We're so excited. How are you?
I'm doing great. I was just cooking dinner for the kids, and now I'm out here hanging out with you after work today.
Nice. And you work at the USS Hornet Museum?
Yes, I work at the USS Hornet Museum as the TikTok manager, I guess. I don't know. I run the TikTok. So we just
Social
broke
media.
10,000 followers today. Yeah, but I don't do the whole social media. There's like a whole team of people. We got someone doing the Facebook, someone does the Instagram, and then we have a separate Instagram for like an event that we're doing. And then we have me on the TikTok, and then we have a YouTube group. Like there's 4 different people that do YouTube videos. So we have like a whole team. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. So you like that job, huh?
Oh yeah, it's so much fun. I'm learning a lot about like museum in general, like how to work a museum, but also the history of the Navy because it's an actual warship that sailed during World War II and Vietnam War, and it's very cool to be able to say that I work there.
Super cool. Yeah, you send me a lot of the TikToks that you make, and I watch them, and I'm like, wow, awesome.
Thank you for watching them.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I? I want to support you.
I appreciate it, even though it's like museum aircraft history. Messing up your FYP algorithm.
History is fun. I like history. I also worked today. As many people know, I'm a dog trainer. So I work at a pet store and I do dog training in the back. And whenever I'm not training, I help out in the store. And today I had like 30 minutes left on my shift after my last class. So I was just like helping out where I was needed. And there was a customer in aquatics, so where we have all the fish. And he was holding a bag with a goldfish in it. And normally we don't let them hold the goldfish when we get them out. We bring it up to the front. And so I was thinking, oh, this is weird. Did you just get that out yourself or something? And I approached him and he was like, hey, do you guys take goldfish? And I was like, no. And that's a question people get a lot. They want to they don't want their pets anymore. So they're like, hey, do you guys take pets? Or like, hey, I'm going on vacation. Can you guys board my animal? And I have to say, no, we're a store. We sell animals. We do not take them. The only time we take them is if you bought them from us and you're returning them, right? So he was like, do you guys take goldfish? And I was like, no, we're a store. We don't take them. We sell them. And he was like, okay, I guess I'm going to flush them down the toilet then. And I was like, well, okay, give them to me then, I guess.
Not a goldfish murder.
I know. I was like, heartless. I mean, what else was he going to do with the goldfish, I guess? But I was like, how like destructive to your life was this goldfish that you needed to bring it into a store? Like, it's a goldfish, you know what I mean? Just give it some flakes and leave it alone. Like,
honestly, and if I'm being honest, no excuses, because we moved cross country and we had a betta fish, and I literally strapped that thing to the passenger seat of my car and drove it 4 blocks to this neighborhood kid that I knew. And I gave him my fish, and I was like, take good care of Wade, bro. Like, and he was like, thank you so much for my fish. Like,
it's not that hard to like find
it's
someone.
not that hard.
Yeah.
No,
and
do better.
I literally was like, well, I happen to have a fish tank at my house. And I always get more fish from it because I get a good discount. So I'm always buying fish at the end of my shift and adding them to my fish tank. And so I was like, okay, well, you just told me you're going to kill this freaking fish. So like, just give it to me, I guess. And he was like, oh, what's going to happen to it? And I was like you care. You just told me you were going to flush him down the toilet. But if you
What's worse than it being dead?
I know. What do you think I'm going to do to it? Like, and I was like, I have a tank that I already have goldfish. I'll just add them to my goldfish tank. So that's what happened to me today. And he's in quarantine right now because the water he was in was really dirty. So I put him in some fresh water, and I'm going to add him to my fish tank later. But you know what's fun? That happens to me a lot at the store I work at, is people will just bring me their animals. And me, being me, I'm like, yeah, I'll take it because I don't want the animal to die. So like those kittens that I had that I haven't talked about a lot on my channel, but like they've been featured here and there. That was a lady brought in a box of kittens to my pet store and was like, I don't know what to do with these kittens. I'm going to try to sell them on Facebook. And I was like, these kittens are 1 day old. If you give them to a random Facebook person, they are going to die. And so I took them home and I raised them, and now they are alive alive and happy and live with my grandparents. A customer brought me a bird egg that his kid found on the ground one time, and I didn't get to hatch because it was already dead, but I tried my damnedest. I put it under a heat lamp and then there was a crack in it, so it just kind of like evaporated.
Oh,
that was my bad, but
oh no, not you being a whole foster parent to like goldfish and animals and shit.
I know, and now
you're like Foster Doolittle.
Now I have this new goldfish, and my manager, I told her on my way out, this happened to happen at the very end of my shift. So I was like, hey, a guy just said he was going to abandon this goldfish, so I took it. And she was like, if a customer has an animal, you should maybe just not talk to them. And I was like, okay, I'll do that from now on. Anyway,
she said, you're cut off.
She's like, no more. Because they were like, when I took those kittens, that was at the beginning of my shift. So they had to stay in the back of the store.
Oh, yeah. They were like, no more, thank you.
For the whole day. And they were like, Raven, you can't be doing that. And I was like, what else was I going to do?
You're like, this is a life or death situation. I don't understand the problem.
I know. I was like, I'm going to take in these animals. Sorry, guys. I know I can't, but I'm going to. So, but yeah, animal savior over here. And it's kind of a joke in the store now that people I don't know what it is about me. If I just look motherly, I don't think that I do, but I guess. And people just bring me their animals. It's just like a thing now. Anyway, that's not what this is about. So the Grammys just happened. I didn't watch it, but I know about the highlights. You probably know more than me, so just feel free to dive on in with any opinions you got. Let's hear them.
Honestly, all I know is what I know from TikTok. TikTok is my main source of pop culture information.
All right.
So apparently, I asked you before we started recording what you thought about Harry Styles winning Album of the Year. I thought it was interesting just because I heard that Taylor Swift broke like records with her album, and like every single one of her songs made the top 10 Billboard, and so she was like plastered on the 1 through 10 Billboard Top 100.
Yeah.
It was just her. And I was like, that's got to be Album of the Year.
Right.
And then it was Harry Styles. I was like, that was interesting. I wasn't on the voting committee, so I don't know how that happened.
I don't make these decisions.
I thought it was an interesting choice.
Yeah. Well, I don't know who else was nominated. Listen, I don't really like award shows. I care about who wins, I guess. Like, I care about, like, who wins Best Picture and stuff like that at the Oscars.
Yeah.
And, like,
yeah.
if an artist I like, you know. Right.
And then I'm like, if it won this award, I guess I'll go see it now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'll listen to it now.
Like, and you know, me specifically for the Oscars, I'm a movie fan. So if once I get the nominations, if I haven't watched one of those movies, like I'll watch them. And like, that's it, you know, I'll watch the Best Picture noms. That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to watch the Oscars. I'm definitely not going to watch the Grammys. I feel like it's just like several hours of celebrities congratulating each other and making more money for us poor people to watch. And I'm like personally not into it. But, like, you know, I see the highlights, like, on Twitter. They'll be like, oh, this person won this person won that. And I'll be like, oh, cool, whatever,
I did see, though, that was pretty cool, was, butcher her fucking name, Kim Petras.
Kim Petras. Yeah.
Petras.
Mm-hmm.
She is the first transgender woman, or the second, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm going to butcher this. She's, like, the first or the second to win a Grammy. I was like, you go, sis.
She's everyone keeps saying she's the first. She's not, because...
She's the second, right?
The second, because very early on in the Grammys career, another trans woman who was like a composer for like film, she won a Grammy, but people forget about her. But I mean, I suppose you could say first like mainstream trans artist and the first in a really long time. So still notable for sure.
And also Viola Davis became the third EGOT winner, African American woman EGOT winner. I thought that was incredible. So yeah, it was like a record-breaking Grammys that I got from the highlights.
Totally.
I also saw Lizzo. Her performance obviously is all over TikTok. So
yeah,
so
definitely. I mean, like, cool stuff happens, but I'm not gonna like sit and watch the whole thing. I'm totally. I'll watch the highlights when they appear on my page. I will look at them. You know.
I'll give them my like, and then I'll keep scrolling. I like to wave at them as they pass by.
Hey there. Thanks for letting me know. Thanks for keeping me in the loop.
I did see this one comment though that was like Lizzo is the Beyonce of our generation or something like that, and I was like, I would argue that.
I
I
don't
would have
know.
to. I could see that.
Yeah.
I could.
I'm just thinking, I don't like when people are like, this person is the other person of our generation. Just let them be their own person. Lizzo is the Lizzo of our generation. You know what I mean?
She's definitely the first Lizzo.
Right. It's like Beyonce is the Beyonce of whatever generation you want to call that, because she's still around. And then Lizzo's the Lizzo of the generation, and Harry's the Harry of the generation. I don't like all this comparison shit. It's like, let everyone be their own separate artist. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As far as the Harry Styles thing, I have to agree, because as much as I am not a fan of Taylor Swift, like I'm just not, I never have been, I do know that a lot of people did like that album, and a lot of those songs were very successful. So it's like, it is kind of weird to me that she wouldn't have won, just from an outsider perspective who does not like her. You know what I mean? That why wouldn't she? Because her songs were like so big, and I hear them all the time. I don't even know any of the new Harry songs. I don't, you know.
I know the one, the As It Was. I know that's him, right? The As It Was. Dun, dun,
I
dun,
guess
dun,
I don't
dun,
even really hear him ever.
I think that one's him, but I feel like I'm also just not seeking out mainstream music, if I'm being honest, anymore. And I don't mean to say that to be like, oh, I don't seek out mainstream music. But like, I'm busy. Like, I don't have time, if I'm being honest. If I'm in the car, I'm not listening to the radio. I'm listening to my audiobook, or I'm not listening to anything, because it's nice not to hear a toddler scream in my face for 5 minutes.
Right. No, I'm the same way. I don't listen to the radio. I make my own playlists, and like if there's a song I like, I'll like artists that I like, and they make new stuff, and I download it, or I'll go on like, you know, I'll just like scroll through, and whatever I like, I'll download it, and I get a lot of music from like movie soundtracks that I like, and just like stuff like that. And the only time I hear like mainstream music, quote unquote, is like when I'm in a store and they're like playing the top 100 on the speakers. And well, that's how I know that those Taylor Swift songs are popular, because like I hear that in my store all the time. I hear that, I hear The Weeknd, just like, you know, regular mainstream artists, and that's just how I get the mainstream music. But I don't really, you know, hear a whole lot of other stuff. So when something wins and I'm like, I don't know who that is, or I don't know even what they've done, and I don't know. Like, again, I don't like Taylor Swift, but it is kind of weird. Like, my boyfriend loves her. So, like, I've heard her songs.
There are Swifties all over the place. Like, for example, the Empire State Building's TikTok, they turned purple when Taylor Swift dropped her album. The whole Empire State Building changed the color purple out for her album drop. I was like, this is crazy. There's so many people who just are obsessed with Taylor Swift.
That's wild.
I liked her like first album when she was a country singer, but I was also in the 7th grade.
Right. I just know that she's impactful, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what I was getting at. Like, I was in the 7th grade, and she's kind of like grown up with a whole 2 different generations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, totally.
And her albums have evolved the same way that our generations have evolved. And I think that's what makes her so relatable, I guess, so popular.
Yeah. And just again, from an outsider's perspective, like I know her music means a lot to a lot of people, right? But I know that Harry Styles' music means a lot to a lot of people. I just feel like it's different. I feel like his songs, like, I don't know, people just like Harry rather than liking his music. I don't know, though, because I don't really like Harry Styles either. I have like maybe 2. I like Watermelon Sugar. I like Adore You.
I don't like that song. I hate that song.
What?
That Watermelon Sugar song. I hate that song. I'm sorry.
Why?
It's so, I don't know. In my opinion, it hits that nerve in my brain that is just irksome. Like the beat, I guess, or the tune. It has nothing to do with Harry. It has everything to do with the music of the song. I hate that song, and I don't know why. I have no justifiable reason to hate that song.
That's fine. Sometimes you feel a certain way about shit. I get it.
I know. I just don't want to listen to that song ever again.
Well, do you know
when it was a trend on TikTok, it was wild.
Yeah. I liked it for a while. That was back when I listened to the radio, is when that song came out. And so it was like on like all the time when I would like drive to work. But now I don't listen to the radio anymore, so But do you know who else was nominated for Album of the Year?
I don't. Did you look up the nominations? I
look them
only
up right
saw
now.
who won them. I think Adele won something. She won Song of the Year, I believe, because in her speech she mentioned writing the song in her shower. I thought that was so sweet, and it was for her son. I was like, wow, that's sweet.
That's so cute.
Look at you being a mom.
Okay, Record of the Year. Don't Shut Me Down, ABBA. Easy on Me, Adele. I really like that song.
I love that song so much, so I'm glad that won.
Yeah, me too. Because out of these other songs, like I don't even like know most of them. There's also Break My Soul by Beyonce, which I have not heard.
You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul.
Oh yeah, okay. I've probably heard that somewhere. I've heard it somewhere. Okay.
That's the only part I know.
Good Morning Gorgeous by Mary J. Blige. You and Me on the Rock by Brandi Carlile featuring Lucius. Have not heard of that or those people. Woman by Doja Cat. Bad Habit by Steve Lacy, which I don't know, but I know Bad Habit by Ed Sheeran, and I like that song.
That's a good song.
And then The Heart Part 5 by Kendrick Lamar.
Okay, so I know 3 of those songs.
Wait,
Literally.
that wasn't the winner.
It wasn't?
No, About Damn Time by Lizzo was the winner. Was Record of the Year.
She did win a song.
Okay, so
what did Adele win?
She must have won something else.
Adele won something.
Oh, and then As It Was by Harry Styles was also nominated for that. But Lizzo won Record of the Year. Okay, Album of the Year. Here we go. This is what was nominated. Voyage by ABBA, which I don't know ABBA was still making music.
I know, me either. Maybe they made a comeback.
Maybe. 30 by Adele, which is probably good. I love Adele. Adele's great. I don't know how to pronounce this.
I also love that she names her albums with how old she is when she releases them. That
Me
is my
too.
favorite.
I love that.
That is my absolute favorite.
I think it was like 21 or 25 when she was in her 20s. Whatever album that was is like a great album.
My favorite one is the one that has Chasing Pavements. That is to this day my jam. And I remember the day that I heard that song for the first time. I was in 8th grade. I was getting ready for school. It was on MTV Jams in the morning time. And that song came on and I was like, this song changed my life. Like,
yeah, Adele will change your life. Totally. Okay, the other ones, Verano Sinti, Bad Bunny, Renaissance by Beyonce, which people kept saying she was snubbed, but I don't know. I don't think Renaissance was that impactful of an album from Beyonce, to be honest with you. Good Morning Gorgeous by Mary J. Blige, In These Silent Days, Brandi Carlile, Music of the Spheres, Coldplay, Mr. Morale and The Big Steppers, Kendrick Lamar, Special by Lizzo, and then Harry's House is what won. I mean, those were pretty, most of those were pretty good choices, I guess. Song of the Year. That's the one that Bonnie Raitt won. And I remember that people were like, who is that? I've never heard of Bonnie Raitt. Bonnie Raitt goes back a long time. So people just like don't know about her because like she's not like a new mainstream artist. She's been around for a while. Because I know who Bonnie Raitt is.
Is she the girl that song from Stranger Things popped off? Is that who that is?
No. That's somebody else.
Oh, then I don't know who that is.
She's
See,
like
you bring me on for these pop culture podcasts, and I literally have no idea what I'm talking about. It's
I don't either. I know who Bonnie Raitt is because I worked at a live theater that was run by old people in a town full of old people. So they liked classic old people music, and Bonnie Raitt has been around since like, I don't know, the 70s. I could sound stupid saying that. Like, I probably sound so ignorant right now. But I know who Bonnie Raitt is. There was Best New Artist. I don't know any of these artists that were nominated for Best New Artist.
Synopsis, we don't know any new artists.
Okay, so just in case you're just tuning in halfway through this video or a third of this video.
Or if you skipped a little bit.
If you skipped a little bit, to summarize, we don't know anything about anything, and we didn't even watch the Grammys, so I don't know why we're talking about.
Why are we talking about this?
Well, I wanted to get to which one Adele won, and she won Best Pop Solo Performance for Easy on Me.
That's what it was.
So that's what it was. That's what it was.
If I'm being honest, why are there so many different options for a song?
I know, like one song is nominated for so many different things, and then
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, totally. And I don't care about any of the best metal performance, best rock song. I don't care about any of this shit. Okay, so that's all I wanted to know was what Adele won, and it was Best Pop Solo Performance.
Good for her.
Good job, Adele. And yeah, Whatever,
And
Harry.
all the other winners who won Grammys. Congratulations on your plastic aluminum that will
Congrats.
collect us.
Congrats. If I won a Grammy, I would bring a bottle of champagne to the Grammys, right? So that if I won a Grammy, and I would get up there and I would open the champagne, pour it into my Grammy and sip it out of my Grammy, and that would be my acceptance speech.
Just that.
That's it. And then I'd pour it in there. I'd be like, cheers. And then I'd sip it. And then that would be it. That's all.
Cheers.
Yep. So, because
very British of you.
it's a joke. It's all a joke. It's all like congratulating each other and giving each other so much more money for like doing shit. You know what I mean? Because even if you get like, I know for the Oscars, if you get nominated for something and didn't win, you still get like $10,000. Like, just to be nominated.
Like a consolation prize.
Presumably made a lot of money being in the movie. You know what I mean? I don't know. Moving on from the Grammys, because I think that's probably all we have to say about that. But speaking of music.
Yeah, since neither of us watched it.
I know. Like, what's wrong with us? Okay, but speaking of music. So, my favorite artists, right? I love Justin Bieber. I love Post Malone. You like Post Malone too. I love Fall Out Boy. Obsessed. And I love Panic at the Disco. And unfortunately, Panic at the Disco is no longer. They have disbanded, which is weird to say because it was only one guy. But he decided to end Panic as a band. And
as an entity.
Yes, as an entity, Panic at the Disco is no longer. And I'm sad about that. And I would like to know if you are also sad about that.
I mean, I like the part of my childhood that never healed is sad about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like as a grown-ass woman with 2 kids and like an understandable amount of responsibility in my life, I can see as to why someone would want to disband their entity of a music career, especially since they were so successful, I guess. I feel like this is not a sad, I mean, it is sad because they're such a good band or entity group person.
Yes.
Brendan Urie. Brendan Urie
is great. Yes.
But no, like we have so many good memories, and I know that it's not his lyric, but I mean, thanks for the memories,
even
friend.
if they
like,
weren't so great.
Like, because I know that Panic at the Disco, Fall Out Boy, again, My Chemical Romance, Escape the Fate, like all of these Bring Me the Horizon, all of these bands got me and like a whole bunch of a whole group of people through a lot of shit when a lot of shit was not cool to go through like it is, you know what I mean? Like a lot of stuff is cool now because no one gets, I don't want to say no one gets bullied anymore because that's not true. People still get bullied to this day, but not for the things that we did growing up. And I think that every generation goes through their different phases of bullying, obviously. But the stuff that was not okay back then when we were going through adolescence and having to figure our shit out, we had to figure out a whole like generations worth of stuff on our back, like the whole LGBTQ movement, like really going through, picking up like popularity, I guess, because I don't know what I'm honestly trying to say, because I'm not trying to say that the LGBTQ movement was carried on our generation's back, because it was generations before us, obviously.
Right. But I mean, I feel like it was a whole different thing. Every generation like has different progress with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And ours was like a really big push, I feel. Like our generation pushed it really far.
And made it mainstream and like accepted and like okay in like a social sense, you know what I mean, like to be a human being, like to get treated like a human being. And I think that these different types of bands and artists really helped us get through that, and I think that it's very nostalgic for us. But I think we'll always have those memories with Panic at the Disco. I know I will. They were one of my first solo concerts, was going to see them.
I saw Panic at the Disco. Did I see them by myself? I think I saw them by myself once, and then I went with my friend another time. So I've seen Panic twice. And yeah, one time I was alone because those girls were sitting next to me where I was. And they were like, "Are you here by yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Aw." And I was like, "No, it's fine." And And she's like, well, you want to hang out with us afterwards? And I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, really, honestly, like, I'm going to listen. Nobody wanting to go with me is not going to stop me from going to a concert. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, I'm still going to go. No. I don't give a shit if I'm alone. It makes it easier because I don't have to think about the other person and what they want to do, you know?
Heck yeah.
So, yeah. So I've seen them twice, and it was a magical experience both times. And I've also seen Fall Out Boy twice. And, you know, I listen, about Panic at the Disco, I agree with everything you said. Like, as a band, I really like Panic, and I'm like sad that there's not going to be music released under that name anymore. And some of those albums really meant a lot for me. The album that came out before this last one that just came out, and I did like this album. I'm like one of the few people that liked the most recent album. But the one that came out before that, I listened to. It came out when I was in college, I think, and I listened to it, man, like for a month straight. That's all I listened to. It really meant a lot to me. There was really a lot of good shit on there. And it's just some of the songs. Like when I first heard the song Hallelujah by Panic at the Disco, I cried. I thought it was beautiful. It was a gorgeous song. Girls, Girls, Boys, a very special song to me. And yeah, so I am sad about that, just for nostalgic purposes. But I feel like Brendan Urie, I feel like this isn't like completely it for him for music. Like he'll take time off. He just had his kid. So congrats to him. Congrats to his wife. They're going to spend time with their kid, do all that stuff. Perfect. And then, he'll probably get back to it. Maybe some features. Maybe he'll produce. Maybe, put out his own stuff later when he's ready. So I don't think this is like the end of that voice and that music. It's just the end of a label, which is sad for a certain generation, for us, you know what I mean? But it's not over.
No, for sure. And we'll get to enjoy the comeback tour in 10 years.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So,
it'll just be Brendan Urie.
We get to look forward to that.
I'm looking forward to shit released under his name because it's just been him the past couple albums anyway. Might as well. So, and that's fine. And you know what?
The first Brendan Urie solo album.
Oh my God, I can't wait for it. It's gonna happen. It might be a few years down the line, but it's gonna happen, and I'll be ready.
Are you gonna get the first Brendan Urie solo album cover tattooed on one of your thighs?
Okay, listen. I already have his face. His whole ass face pretty big on my thigh. So like
that is wild.
I don't think that I need more than that. I think that covers it. I think that about covers everything. You know what I mean? I totally
forgot that. I knew you had a portrait of Justin Bieber on your thigh, but I totally blanked that you had. Did you show me the Brendan Urie one? I don't remember ever seeing that one.
I hung out with you the day that I got it finished. I came down to visit the Bay to get it finished. It was like, I had already done like 2-3 sessions on it, and I was in town for my last session. You and I had lunch with your family and my boyfriend. We all had lunch together.
Yeah, that's when we took the picture of us with the kids.
Yeah. So we hung out that day that I got it finished. I'm sure I was wearing a dress. I'm sure I showed it to you, and I showed you like what was going to get finished and what was unfinished about it at the time. So I probably showed it to you that day, and I've like posted it on Instagram since then because now it's done.
Maybe I'm just blanking on what it looks like, and I have seen it. I don't know.
Look on my Instagram; it's on there.
I'm so forgetful. I'm sure it looks fabulous.
No, you're good. But yeah, and one last thing before I get back, because I do want to talk about that for a second, my tattoo. But Fall Out Boy, they're having a new album coming out soon, so that really softens the blow for me. That at least
I saw that they were on a tour too, weren't they?
Yeah. They just announced their tour. I don't know if I'll be able to go because I'm like poor right now, but it's fine. And at least in a couple months, I'll have some new Fall Out Boy songs to listen to, and I'll feel fine, But yes, I do. That's part of why I think I took it so hard about this Panic at the Disco announcement, because I do have Brendan Urie's face on my leg, and I have
Does he know? Does he know that you're walking around with his face on your leg? Does he know that people are walking around with his face on their bodies? Like, do famous people know that people get them tattooed on their bodies? And
I'm sure they know. I'm sure they know that.
Marked. I feel I could not be famous. I thought I wanted to be famous my whole life. Thank God for unanswered prayers, because I could not be famous. Could you imagine someone with this fucking face tattooed on their body? Like, No, that's
Listen,
wild.
anybody
I feel
listening
like
to
that's
this,
so creepy.
if anybody listening to this wants to get my face tattooed on their body, I will fully support you. And I will sign it, and then you got to
I
get my signature
feel like
tattooed.
that's so creepy.
Are you
That's
calling me
creepy.
creepy? Are you saying I'm creepy because I have faces on me?
No,
I feel like that's what you're
no,
saying.
no.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying you are creepy for putting the faces on you. I'm saying the feeling of the person having my face on someone else's body, that feeling is creepy. So not you, the person, are creepy. It's the vibes that as the famous person. But I'm not Brendan Urie, so maybe he loves it. I'm not Justin Bieber. Maybe he loves it. Who knows? I don't know them.
Okay,
I don't
well,
know anybody.
I'm sure celebrities know that people at least get the signatures tattooed. Like when you sign skin, like people want to get that tattooed. And there's like
Oh, for sure.
big
There's someone that
celebrities
has their
know.
entire back signed with people's signatures, and their entire shoulders all the way to their waistband
Yeah.
signature
People know,
tattoos.
famous people know what happens. They don't know every person, obviously, and like what every tattoo looks like, but they know that there's their face on some person's body, multiple people's body. Justin Bieber for sure knows that because I am not the first to get Justin Bieber's face on their body.
No.
Brendan Urie, he knows that other people have panic tattoos. He knows that. Now, does he know his face? Maybe. I don't know. Probably because my artist has like posted that tattoo on his Instagram and like tagged him. When I've posted my tattoo, I've tagged him and maybe he's come across it scrolling and is like, oh, weird or oh, cool. I don't know. So they know. I don't know if he knows about me specifically, but he knows, Speaking of tattoos and the artist that put Brendan Urie on me, which by the way is a really great looking tattoo. So I don't have that posted.
I'm gonna go back, and
Yeah.
if I liked it on any of my accounts, I'm gonna screenshot it and send it to you. Be like, I already liked this.
I'm sure you have, but they're really great looking tattoos. I haven't posted them on my YouTube Instagram, but I might in the future, just after this podcast is posted, so that people know what we're talking about. But one, I want to say, people always recognize Justin Bieber. When I show people, they're always like, is that Justin Bieber? And I'm like, yeah. And it's a beautiful tattoo. And then the Brendan Urie one, I show them that one, and they're like, who is that? And I say, it's Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco. And sometimes they're like, oh. And sometimes they're like, who? And I'm like, Panic at the Disco, these are songs by them. This is Brendan Urie, the lead singer. But now that's going to be even worse for me, that they are no longer a band, and that name is no longer going to be relevant in a couple of years' time.
I feel like it's not quote unquote worse for you. It's just because tattoos are for you,
I know.
tattoos aren't for other people. And then it gives you the opportunity to introduce new people to Panic at the Disco. You should start having your tattoo on business cards with a little Spotify QR code of the Panic at the Disco album that's your favorite, and be like, give them a listen.
That'd be so fun. That's a separate tattoo is underneath it. There's a little barcode, and you can scan the barcode tattooed on my leg, and it links you to my favorite Panic album.
It's one of those Spotify barcodes, the branded ones that takes you to the Spotify playlist right under the tattoo.
Oh my God. But what I mean by worse for me, because I'm always going to love it, right? And I'm always going to know what it is, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be more explaining for me, because people always want me to explain my tattoos. I don't feel like I need to, but if people are like, well, why? What's that for? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, what am I just going to not answer you? So I'm going to have to be like, yeah, they're this band, and then they broke up, but it was really only one guy, and blah, 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 blah.
You could just be like, they were a band.
I stare off wistfully into the distance. They were.
I read somewhere that 4 seconds of silence is registered in the brain as rejection. And I tried it once. And dude, that shit worked.
What did you try it?
I literally just, this is some guy. Okay, don't. I'm not going to name him because now I just told everybody where I worked. But someone at work, he said something not super nice. It's cool. We're all good. It's not a big deal. It was just genuinely, it's not like he was we didn't have to call HR or anything like that. He just genuinely
Yeah.
said something that was like kind of sucky, and I was like, oh, that sucks. And he kind of was like, he said it directly to like in this email thread, and we had to like talk about it later. But when we were talking about it later in this meeting, I literally was just in this meeting like, to every question. I know your podcast can't see my face, but it's very stoic.
Stoic silence.
But yeah, no, it totally works. Just 4 seconds of silence, man. Just
I'll be like, who's that on your leg? I'll be like,
you can say Brendan Urie. Don't be like a bitch, but
you're allowed to.
Like, instead of going into detail, like, oh, who's Brendan Urie? Oh, there's this band, Panic at the Disco. You can just be like,
I'm gonna cut out.
look it up.
I'm gonna cut out all these silences, but just know that there was lots of silence after everything that we said. But yeah, I'm like, you were allowed 3 questions. The 4th question, you are not gonna get a response. Sorry. Choose your questions carefully.
But I'm the worst podcast guest. I recant the worst stories. The worst editing job for you.
I know, and I really want to get this out before my Valentine's Day video, so I have to like edit it within the next week, and it's gonna be so much work.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry.
Back to tattoos. Okay. So, yeah, I have a Brendan Urie tattoo. And so I want to talk about Panic at the Disco and how they're special to me. But the artist who did it, he did a great job. Shout out, his name's Cameron. Warhorse Tattoo in Berkeley. I highly recommend. But I just saw him yesterday. I had an appointment because I am working on my 3rd big piece with him, and it's a Dracula castle on the front of my leg. So now we're going to talk about tattoos because I love tattoos, and I know you like tattoos. Let's get our mind off of music and shit we know nothing about to talk about something we do know something about, which is tattoos. So I had my 2nd session. It was supposed to be my last session, but it's very detailed, so I still have like 45 minutes left to go, but it's pretty much done now.
Nice.
Yeah, and I like it a lot, and I can't wait to post it when it is actually done. And then I'm all about symmetry. That's why I have a portrait on one thigh and a portrait on the other thigh. And then now with this castle, I have it on the front of my legs, and I got to get something else on the front of the other one of my legs. So I'm just working on covering my legs. I know a lot of people like to get like sleeves on their arms and kind of start from the top. Me personally, I like to start from the bottom. I'm going to cover up my legs. Then I'm probably going to do like my ribs, sternum, and then I'm going to do my arms. And that's just me, you know? So you how many tattoos do you have, by the way? Because I feel like you have a lot.
I have like, I think the last time I counted, I think I have like 16.
Holy shit.
I'm not sure though. And some of those are like small. I have a semicolon on my ring finger. So, or not my ring finger, my pinky finger. So it's really, really small. And then I also have like a constellation on my hip that's just an outline. It's like a line. So, I mean, I count those as tattoos, but they're very, very small. So in counting those, I think I have like 14, 15, or 16, something like that. I don't know.
That's more than I would have thought that you had. I was going to say like 8 to 10 for you. But, I mean, walk me through some of those.
I have a lot of hidden ones.
Yeah.
I have well, the very first one I ever got was one on my shoulder. It's on my back shoulder. It says "Follow the Butterflies," and it's a little butterfly tattoo, and it's a matching tattoo that matches this butterfly that my mom and my aunt got when my grandmother passed away. And then my next one was Hakuna Matata on my hip, because Hakuna Matata. And then I also have a giant giraffe on my thigh that I think is my favorite. It's like basically the size of your Justin Bieber tattoo. And it's a giraffe on my thigh. And I really like that one a lot. It was done by one of my good friends. Her name is Sadeja. Her Instagram is So Anxious. You should definitely go follow her. Her ink is really, really cool. She's independent, but she also does like STEM architecture, like for kids. She's an architect, so she's
cool.
She's a genius. I know, and she does tattoos, and she's so incredibly talented and multifaceted. So, but yeah, she did a couple of my tattoos. Actually, she did one on my wrist that says "There's only today," which is like a reminder that, like, if you woke up today, it's a gift. You know what I mean? There's only today that's promised.
Yeah,
basically.
Right.
that's one I wanted for a really long time, and she was able to do it for me, and I really like having it on my wrist.
Aw.
Um, yeah, and then I have my nephews, and their nicknames when they were babies were Monkey and Turtle. So I have a monkey and a turtle on my rib.
Aw. You have a lot of animal tattoos.
Yeah, I do. Hmm.
That's cool. I have one on my wrist too. My first tattoo was the one that I have on my wrist, which is, it says beautiful mistakes. I got it when I was 19, or like right about to turn 19. And it's a reference to the song Cardboard Castles by this artist named Watsky. And there's a part in the song where the bit of the lyric is, while we make and create all these beautiful mistakes. And there's like an emphasis on the phrase beautiful mistakes in the song. And I always thought that that was like a really cool like phrase, and kind of like, to me, I took it as like, you know, mistakes like happen and they're supposed to happen, and you just gotta kind of like move on from them, and what's meant to be will be, kind of thing. You know, mistakes are beautiful, mistakes are necessary. And that's like something that I have to remind myself a lot. Like when I feel like I'm messing up, it's like I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I'm learning from this, you know? And that whole song is beautiful. So just like referencing this song, because the whole song is kind of like that. And I went to a Watsky concert. I've been to a couple. And the one I went to, this is a tattoo I had in my brain for so long. I did a meet and greet at this Watsky concert, and I told him that I wanted this tattoo, and I asked him to write it on my wrist. And I got it tattooed the next day. So it's in his handwriting, which is like the coolest part about it. So it's my first tattoo, also like my most sentimental tattoo to me. And also the best story for sure. Yeah, and you know what?
Yeah.
Totally. And most of my tattoos are music related. I feel like a lot of people with their tattoos have like a theme. And I guess mine is music aside from two of them now. But that was my first one. And then my second one is a Fall Out Boy tattoo. Pete Wentz has this like bat heart symbol on his stomach. And it used to be like a symbol for like his brand, kind of. And I got that tattooed on my ankle. So it's kind of like a, not a deep cut, because I feel like if you like Fall Out Boy, you know about that symbol. But if you don't, then if you don't like Fall Out Boy, then you don't know about it. So
That is so cute.
yeah, I thought it was cute. And my college roommate, because I got this one in college, I got this one later when I was 19, she was like, is that like a Batman symbol? And I was like, no. And I was so heartbroken that she said that. But nobody else has thought that since, so it was just her. But yeah, and then I have my portraits. I have Justin Bieber, which is my first big tattoo, and also my only full color tattoo so far. And that one was great. I remember that was the first tattoo I got from my artist that I go to now, Cameron, who I shouted out earlier. I remember going to him the first time and just being so nervous. And at the time, I was first getting into pet care. I worked at a doggy daycare. And I was living with my grandparents and didn't have to pay rent. And it was like the first time I was making like $1,000 a paycheck. So to me at the time, big money. I was like 20, almost like maybe 21. So big money for me. And so I was like, I'm going to get a tattoo. I'm going to get a big one. And I wanted Justin Bieber's face because I had liked him for like 10 years at that point. I've liked him since I was 11. And I was talking to him, and I remember I said such stupid shit because I didn't know what I was talking about. I was like, yeah, I want a portrait, but I don't want it to be like big, like a regular portrait. Like I want it to be smaller. And I remember he looked at me like I was crazy because most people get like the portraits that they get are pretty small. Like, and so he was just like, obviously you don't know what you're talking about. And my portrait's much bigger than a normal portrait is on a person's body. And I remember in my head, the idea was very simple. And it was no color. I had like black and gray face and like a color rose over his eye. And then the rest was just going to be outline, like nothing. It was going to be so simple. And then he just kind of built off of my idea and turned it into the most beautiful, detailed, full color portrait that took 5 sessions and cost me like $1,400. So, which worth it because it's still like a really beautiful tattoo and I love showing it off. But it was after that where I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to this guy forever. And then I got my Brendan Urie one right after that. And then now I'm working on my castle one, which is also beautiful. And then I have the tops of my feet tattooed as well. Not by him, but by some other lady who I went to in Chicago, because I got matching tattoos with my best friend. Mm-hmm. And we have a matching sun, and then I also got a moon because symmetry. I needed a sun and a moon. And I got them on the tops of my feet, which
of course.
Ouch, painful.
Yeah, I will never get a tattoo on the top of my foot ever. No, thank you.
Well, I thought, like, you know, every other tattoo I've got was not that bad. Like, and I've sat for 4 or 5 hours multiple times, and I was like, I can handle.
No, that's because it's not directly on top of the bone. It's the places where it's the thin skin right on top of the bone that just literally, for me, when I got my rib tattoo, it rattled my skeleton. I could feel it in my toes. Like, it was awful. So I knew that the tops of my feet were going to hurt.
Is that your most painful one on your ribs?
Hands down. Yes.
Really?
Getting my ribs tattooed, in my opinion, hurt almost as bad as giving birth to my daughter did.
No way.
Yes, it was hard to sit still, like, and breathe, because he was pressing down on my rib cage to, like, spread my skin to, like, get the good ink color in.
Yeah.
And, like, packed, because it's a color tattoo. And he was like, you gotta stagger your breathing. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. And I was like, I gotta stagger my breathing for 3 hours laying on this table in my friend. And it wasn't at a tattoo parlor either. It was in my friend's basement. Like, he used to own his own tattoo parlor.
Yeah.
And so, like, I trusted him completely. But it was in his basement. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, no, that was a 3 out of 10 experience.
Yeah, getting the tops of my feet, because it was the top of my feet, so I had to be on the table, and I had to be in an awkward position where, like, my foot was flat, and I was, like, holding onto my knee, right, to keep it straight. And the whole time, I was just trying to focus on not moving, because it was so hard, and it was so painful, and I had to wear a mask, but it was, like, hard to breathe, so I was, like, holding the mask, like, out to, like, breathe, but it was still, like, covering my face, and I was, like, I didn't cry, but I was, like, like, the whole time. And each foot took like 45 minutes because they're small, they're like simple, and they're just outliney, you know. But she kept going over, I guess because like the top of your foot is like not really a flat surface, it's like bumpy, there's shit under there, you know. So she was trying to get straight lines, and so she kept going over the same lines over and over again to make them thicker and straighten them out. And every time she went over the same line, I was just like, stop. Oh my God.
In agony.
I was
in
agony.
Torture.
I was like, when does it end? Why is this taking so long? Like, you finished the line. Move on to the next line, please, for the love of God. And then it was finally over. And then I had to, like, you know, put my boots back on and walk around the rest of the day.
Oh no, you wore boots to get your feet tattooed?
Yes. So that was not great. But I mean, I like them. I think now that it's happened, I like don't remember what it felt like. I remember it hurt a lot, but like the memory of the actual pain is gone now. Which is good. I just know that they're definitely by far my most painful tattoos so far. I do want to get my ribs done eventually. Not with like huge pieces. Like my ideas for my ribs are like small. And I would be sure to tell my artist. I'd probably still be going to Cameron. But because I was talking to him when I was with him yesterday, like, do you think the ribs are the most painful? And he's like, for a normal tattoo spot, like people get tattooed in the ribs. But for like other spots, like the butt crack hurts a lot. The part where your butt meets your leg hurts a lot. The back of your knee, your armpit.
Yeah. Those weird spots, like where the fatty, like it's like just skin and fat, and like it pinches when you get that needle there. But
but people don't usually get tattoos in those spots.
It's not like the normal choice. I also heard the sternum hurts a lot. Like right underneath your breast, like right underneath your boob line on your ribs, and then your sternum. Yeah.
which sucks
I
because
heard that one hurts a lot.
I totally want a sternum tattoo, and I'm definitely going to get one. So
I love the concept again of a sternum tattoo. See, I'm such a wuss. I love the concept of a sternum tattoo, but after getting my rib tattoo, it's like I don't want to commit again.
I
But I
get
don't want
you.
to deter you from getting your rib tattoo. I don't think I am, but it for me it was the most painful tattoo in my opinion. And everyone's pain tolerance is different. So, you do you, live your life. I would
Well,
never tell anyone how to live their life.
I would still get. It's probably not gonna be anytime soon because, like I said, I'm gonna fill up my legs first. And I have lots of ideas for things, so I'm already got it mostly planned out. So I got to get all of those first because I really like the images of like those like tattoo models, and they're like wearing their bikinis or whatever, and their legs are just like covered with like big intricate like black and gray pieces. I love that, so that's what I'm going for. And then I'll do like I have some ideas for my ribs, so then I'll do those, and then I'll eventually work my way to my arms. And I do definitely want my sternum. I like those like mandala like chandelier looking things that people like
Yes.
get. Love
Yeah.
that. Definitely
That is gonna
want
be
it.
so cute.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna look really good when I do get it, but that's probably a little bit further down the line. But for my ribs, I have like simple ideas, and so I'm gonna tell my artist like, hey, listen. This has got to be a one session deal because so far every tattoo I've gotten with the artist that I go to most of the time are like 3, 4, 5 sessions, and I'm like I don't know if I could do all that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. I've never had a tattoo session more than 3. I
Yeah.
think 3 was my max. Yeah.
yeah,
And it was 3 days in a row. So
Wow.
it was my giraffe. It was very hard to do that 3 days in a row. I'm not going to lie, because I had to go back and she had to finish up some details and some shading and some black and gray twice just because for time constraint.
yeah.
And she was doing it like as it was trying to heal the next day, doing a tattoo right over your
That's
healed like the day
hurts.
after. It was so painful. But yeah.
I'm sure all my sessions were at least a few weeks apart. The ones I've been getting lately with the castle and with my Brendan one were like months apart because I moved. So I would have to only come down when I healed completely before I worked on it anymore, which was really nice.
That is nice.
Yeah. And speaking of the castle one, I like remember saying in my consultation, I was like, if we could make it 1, 2 sessions max, that'd be awesome. I just finished the
That'd be
second.
great.
I just finished the second session. I still have one more session. He's like, but it's only going to be like 45 more minutes. And I was like, all right, which I could.
And then there were 3.
And then that was it. But it's just like, I can't complain because he's just so detailed that it's probably hard to like restrain him to just one session for something so big as well, because it is really big.
I know. And it's going to be such a cool tattoo. You were telling me about it, and I cannot wait to see it. I want something similar in detail, but I don't want the castle. I want a local artist who did my pumpkin that I have on my arm.
Yeah.
He has this personal sketchbook of like tattoos that he wants to do eventually if someone will get one, and I want to get one. It's this like girl, and she's blonde, and she has her hair up in like a messy bun, and she has these retro black like Ozzy Osbourne glasses, and her nails are done like really really cute, and she's like flipping off the camera or whatever, like the point of view.
Yeah.
And it's just there's something like so edgy about it that I want it on my opposite thigh of my giraffe in black and gray, the same way that my giraffe is black and gray. And it's just so contrary to my giraffe
Yeah.
that I think it's gonna be so pretty. Like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but I know it's gonna be like $500.
That's how much oh my God. That session I just had for my castle for the second session was $500 and that was and the first session was like 400, and then the last session will probably only be like 100 because it's like 45 minutes, but still, I'm the queen of $1,000 tattoos. I got the art on my body is worth so much money.
They're going to be on you for the rest of your life, and you get to show it off and like explain it to people. And if that brings you joy, go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's your money. Spend it the way you need it. What's that JG Wentworth
It's
commercial?
your money. Use it when you need it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
period.
No, totally. And I'm not like complaining because it's worth it, you know, and it's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
work and it's really great art. And it's like I would never underpay an artist like that, you know. And
Absolutely not.
I
They're
want good
so
work.
That's a very good point. Like tattoo artists are so talented, and I
Yeah.
think artists in general are undervalued, underappreciated.
Yeah.
Tattoo artists definitely deserve the bag that they be bringing in with their tattoos.
Yeah. And they're just doing something so special, giving you
And
something for the rest of your life.
exactly. And I also don't mean to complain. And it's less of a complaint and more of like oh, I know this is like a something I have to save towards if I
Yeah.
really want it. And it would be so nice if I could just go get a tattoo. Like
I would be, you know how I would have been covered long ago if tattoos
long
were
ago.
cheap. And like I could get cheap tattoos, but then I would look cheap and I would look like shit, and I don't want that. Because I've seen people, like there was this guy, I was literally saying this to my artist yesterday about how much I hate this. I saw a guy when I was walking around LA one time, and he was covered in tattoos, but they were each little 1-inch like flash sheet tattoos. They were all like They were all like Halloween, like they were from like Beetlejuice and Nightmare Before Christmas and like shit like that, like little tiny things. Covered, his whole legs were covered in these little 1-inch singular pieces. It looks like he looked at somebody's Halloween flash sheet and said, "Give me them all."
Literally all of it.
None of them are related to each other. They're all little separate ones. And he's just like, it looked like he was covered in stickers that were unrelated.
That is so funny because that's literally what my husband wants to do on his legs. He was like, on my legs, when I get tattoos, I just want like our friends who do tattoos. Like one of my friends from high school, she kind of messes around with a tattoo gun on her own legs that she got. And he was like, I want her to give me a smiley face, like a star, like, you know what I mean? Like small little flash tattoos on my legs, like a little lightning bolt just on my legs. And then everyone that we meet, like who, like we know who has a tattoo gun, they can add to it like little flash tattoos. I was like, you do you, babe.
Listen, that's fine if that's what you want, right? And even that is like at least a cool concept, a cool story. But this guy literally was like, each tattoo was cool and cute, right? Like each one was a cute little cool, like they were good they weren't shitty tattoos. But like none of them flowed together. It just did not artistically look good at all. So I am just not trying to look like a Chipotle bag, you know? I'm trying to look like, you know, like a...
But those little tacos are so cute on those Chipotle bags.
It's cute. That's fine if that's your aesthetic, but that's not my skin, you know?
I'm about to go get a little tiny Chipotle taco from their taco bags tattooed on my other pinky.
On your pinky?
On my other one opposite of the one that I already have tattooed.
That's cute. I don't know if I would get my fingers. I would get my palm. Like I would get like the palm reader's palm.
That's cute.
But that would hurt like shit.
My husband and I are talking about getting our ring fingers tattooed because I have misplaced my wedding ring, unfortunately.
Oh,
and
no.
my husband's, they're tungsten, so his doesn't fit like correctly. We ordered a certain size, but he's like a half size, but they didn't have a half size like option.
Yeah.
So it kind of doesn't fit. It's just too tight. And so we're looking into getting like some silicone ones or tattooing our ring fingers.
That sounds
but
cool.
I heard from a tattoo artist that your hands are like the fastest to fade besides like if the obscure ones like inside your mouth or like
Yeah.
you know, things like that. But like your fingers in the back of your hands are the fastest to fade because you use your hands so often.
Yeah. Like I know if I got my palm done, it would fade rather quickly. And a lot of times tattoo artists don't do your palms that deep anyway because it hurts so bad. I would definitely tell them like, no, like go as deep as you need to. But like, yeah, it would fade.
Deep.
Go deep.
You
Well,
have
because
such,
I want it to last as long.
such a high pain tolerance.
I guess. I mean, my feet tattoos like weren't that bad. They weren't bad enough to turn me off to sensitive places. Like, yeah, it hurt, but like I did it and I could do it again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm like not super scared of my ribs. Also knowing that I'm not going to get a super intricate piece on my ribs, but I know I'm going to get a sternum piece. So it's like I can't be afraid of it because I'm going to get it, you know?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like when you've already made the decision, you're like, well, I better get behind this.
Right. And maybe it's because I've like like the Justin Bieber one that was 5 sessions long and each session was like 4 hours. That was my 3rd ever tattoo. And my first 2 tattoos each took like 20 minutes. And they're small and they're in easy places. So that was my 3rd tattoo. And I was like, and I could handle it and it was fine. And I've only gotten really big pieces since then. So maybe that's just like really helped my tolerance against tattooing, that I've just like sat through it for so many hours at this point, you know?
Yeah, it almost becomes like a ritual, almost like a ritualistic thing. Like,
Yeah.
okay, step 1, I consult, I figure out my tattoo, I go in, and then I'm gonna sit here, and I know what's happening, so I better strap in. You know?
Yeah, and I talk the whole time. Like my poor artist, he always says that like tattooing, it's like you have to like do this super intricate artwork, but you also got to like be a therapist and socialize at the same time. And I was like, I'm sorry, but I'll go crazy if I don't talk to you for these whole 4 hours. So literally yesterday we were talking about the Grammys. We were talking about movies for the whole, I think it was like 3 hours I was there. And we were just talking the whole time. And I was like, I need to.
I am the absolute opposite. Please do not talk to me. I don't know what to talk about. Small talk gives me anxiety. Like if we're just talking about nonsense, like the weather or the news or like what you had for dinner last night, I'm not here for it.
Yeah.
So we might as well just be quiet. And I will listen to my podcast. You can focus on your work. We'll vibe.
Yeah.
Like
I get
I'll
that.
take a nap.
I totally get that. I think it's just because I've seen him so much and like
I can understand that. Me and my guy Lucas, I've seen him like 3 times now because he's done 2 of my tattoos and 1 of my touch-ups.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't know him well enough to vibe with him like that yet, to have like a whole conversation. I'd be talking to him about his work, like his art, because I genuinely am interested in that. I don't think that is small talk. And I feel like he likes answering those kind of questions, but I don't know him. You know what I mean? And I feel like I don't want to force a relationship with you if I'm paying you for a service that you enjoy doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Totally.
I also don't want to feel like I'm imposing a relationship on them, so I would prefer to stay quiet. And I don't know. I just have so much social anxiety that I overthink so much sometimes.
No, I get you, and like honestly, that's valid because not everybody does that. I know a lot of people probably think it's weird that I like instead of listening to music or something like that to block it out, I literally just talk to my artist the whole time like we're friends. Like. But here's the thing, though, is we're at the point where we're beyond small talk and could talk about more serious shit. Like we were talking
comfortable with.
Yeah, we were talking about like the wokeness of movies these days and how we're kind of going backwards in certain ways, and like it's more like tokenism than it is like really having diversity. Like a lot of diversity in movies these days. Or that have come out recently, like for example, that movie Wendell and Wild that came out on Netflix. This movie that just came out on Netflix as well, called You People, starring Jonah Hill.
I watched that. Yeah, I watched that with my husband.
So like movies like that are just now coming out, but like feels like they could have been made in the 90s, and it's a movie where they're like checking off boxes rather than actually trying to be inclusive and like making it a point to like emphasize like, oh, interracial couple, oh, a trans person, oh my God, you know, rather than just making it part of a normal story. They're pointing it out to be like, look how woke we are. Look how woke this movie is.
I 100% agree, because we literally said the same thing while we were watching it. We were like, we feel like this movie, You People, is just fast. Like it's like jumping through the timeline. And I feel like it's kind of trying to introduce these different characters for the sake of having these characters.
Yeah.
Like, and so you can see these different relationships and arguments for the sake of the arguments in the story. But it didn't really come together for me, if that made sense. Like, I can see why it was a Netflix original and not a
Rob loved it. Rob thought it was great.
Oh, really? So I don't know if you heard that. My husband said that he was talking with my mom earlier today and about that movie. And my mom is in a mixed relationship with her boyfriend is half white, half African American.
Yeah.
And she said that he loved it, obsessed with the You People movie, that it was very accurate to what he has experienced in his life, and that he thought it was hilarious. And I was like, that just shocked me. I was like,
well,
wow, okay, cool.
That's cool, I guess. I mean, I don't really like, that's not my life, so I guess I can't like say. But when I watched it, I just felt like it just felt so disingenuous to me. Like, I just felt like people like don't talk like that anymore. Like the way Julia Louis-Dreyfus as the Jewish mom was just so over the top Jewish mom and saying all these like horrible things. It's like she'd have to know that that's horrible shit to say. And then the same thing with Eddie Murphy on the other side is just seems so stereotypical as a Muslim black man who's just not accepting of anything else. It was just like so caricatured. You know, and I'm sure that there's still, obviously, there's still race relation struggles between like black and white people and all people of different races. Obviously, that's still a struggle, right? And that's going to happen. It feels like the movie wasn't real about it. And like, it just feels like a movie where Jonah Hill was like, look, I'm cool with like black people. You know what I mean? It was just like, I don't know. I just felt icky about it, to be honest with you. And I didn't think it was funny. Like, I'm just going to be honest right now. I did not think it was funny.
I thought it was pretty funny. I kind of I liked some of it. I didn't like, not all of the jokes hit for me, but I did think it was very nostalgic funny for me. I like how you said that it felt like it could have been based in the 90s. And
Yeah.
I agreed. I thought it was very early 2000s comedy vibes.
Yeah.
But again, the only thing I didn't like about it was that it was very fast. In that, yes, I agree that the characters felt gimmicky for the sake of being those characters. Like,
yeah.
Like they were not gimmicky, I should say, but very stereotypical funny. And the one thing that I did retain from my high school theater class was that you don't want to play on stereotypes when you're making comedies. You want to play on real factual situations. And again, I'm not Jewish. I'm also not African American. So I can't speak on either of these communities and how they felt about this movie. But I did see a lot of stereotypes that I've seen in other films be portrayed, and so that is just one thing that stuck out to me for sure.
Yeah, I thought the first part was funny. I think I just didn't think it was funny because it got old for me. I feel like there was a lot of repeated jokes.
Yes,
that I was just like, okay, it was funny the first time, and now I'm like over it. So yeah,
it's like, yeah, you're really driving this one in, huh?
Right. So all that to say, that's like the kind of shit that I talk about with my artists now, that we just like talk about like political movie shit. And we were talking about the Grammys, like what people wore. Like he should be on What Not to Wear, because he was like, this person wore this and it was just like not it. And this person, I liked how she looked. And I was like, I didn't watch it, so I have no idea what you're talking about, but you're so passionate about it. So like, keep going, you know?
We are so aging ourselves with saying they should be on What Not to Wear, because that is not even a show anymore, honey. Like,
what's the equivalent? Like, where do you talk about what celebrities dress like now?
I don't know. Is Fashion Police even a thing anymore? Joan Rivers died a while ago. Are they still doing that?
They should.
Who watches cable anymore?
Is there not an equivalent where people just go and talk about what celebrities wore at certain award shows? Did they just get rid of that concept completely?
I mean, I guess on like some branch of YouTube or TikTok fandoms, but yeah, I mean, again,
people do it on TikTok now.
Who watches cable anymore? Like, honestly, what is this?
Nobody. It's just streaming now, and you know, anyone can just talk about like, I liked this dress, just short form video content. So there's no need for Fashion Police anymore. But sad. But also, again, that's kind of weird to even do. Like, this person looks ugly. Like, who are you to say that? Like,
I think that's why it's not a thing anymore.
Probably because it was pretty judgy.
Feels very judgy.
I'm uncomfortable with how you're judging me right now. But yeah, I mean, that's all I want to say about that, like tattoos and talking about shit we know nothing about, but damn, do we know about tattoos. Is there, last question before we wrap up for tonight, is there like a tattoo that you like have planned that you like want to get next, or like no?
Yeah, actually, I've wanting to get a dream catcher for a really long time because
Ooh.
my grandfather my last grandparent who is alive, I have tattoos for all of my grandparents who have passed, and so this next one is going to be for him. What I'm not waiting for him to pass to get it. I'm just saying like it is going to be for him because I have one for all of my grandparents. I'm going to get a dream catcher. It's going to be one of a larger tattoo though, and it's going to be hopefully watercolor vibes. Like
Ooh.
I want it, yeah, I want it. I have to wait to find an artist who can do watercolor
Mm.
like just pristine because I don't want it to have an outline. I know this is crazy, but I want it to just look like there's a watercolor painting done on the back of my leg.
That's
So
pretty
like
cool. That's unique.
I know. So I don't know who I'm gonna go see. I don't know who can do that, but yeah, no outline, just a painting on the back of my leg.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Cool. I already know my next one just has to. I always say I want a matching tattoo, and they're like, "You want to get the same thing on your other leg?" I'm like, "No. When I say matching, I mean complementary." But once the finishing touches of the castle are done, I call it a Dracula castle. It's like a gothic castle scene. On the other side, on my other leg, I'm gonna get a witch's cottage.
Cute.
So like forest, cottage core, porch and with a chimney and like mushrooms and like a big tree and like little potion bottles
Cute.
string. Yeah, cobblestone, so it'll be like classic goth on one side and like cottage core goth on the other side. That's my plan for my next one. And then I have like tons of plans for future ones. All right, well, that's kind of all we're going to talk about today. Nick, thank you so much for joining me again. It's always great to talk to you, and like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.